Hello, it is Sandy Spady with the Power Up Talk Show, a talk show where we bring together community leaders, inspirational people that are making a difference in the world. And today I'm going to add on people that are making our lives happier with whiskey. Yes, before I introduce my amazing guest, we're going to take it over to Dion Bass with Songbirds Cocktails.
Thank you, Sandy. Sandy, it's always wonderful to be on your show. And today I wanted to do a cocktail in honor of my good friend, David Mark Young. It is the David Mark Young Old Fashioned. Now, I did not copyright this, so I might be in trouble with him, I don't know. But we're gonna start out with Golden Sheath, and I'm sure Dave will talk a little bit more about this. It is locally blended, and it is a beautiful product that comes right out of Omaha and just simply brings people together.
Now, you know, the last Old Fashioned you whipped up for me, I think there's somewhere on social media that I was like, whoa, can we have another one of those? That was really great.
Absolutely. So with this one, we're gonna be doing a vanilla and Turkish tobacco bitters, and we're gonna give that about 5 dashes. 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, and 2 dashes of orange bitters. And lastly, we're going to sweeten our Old Fashioned with a little bit of Demerara sugar in the raw. If you don't know, this whiskey makes a wonderful Old Fashioned, but honestly, I drink it the way it's meant to be drank, on the rocks. It's delicious. Give this guy a stir for about 16 revelations. I usually do about 16 to 18 to ensure great dilution and to chill. And we're gonna go ahead and give that guy a pour. Now this Old Fashioned, I really like it. I think the first time I ever had someone make it for me was actually at Copacabana bar. I just asked for it because I saw Turkish tobacco bitters and thought, wow, that's different. Anyway, here we go, our David Mark Young Old Fashioned. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. All right, let's toast to Dion's Old Fashioned.
Cheers.
Oh, gosh.
That's
Wow, beautiful. I might be biased, but this is good. Very good bourbon. Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, who's excited to get the man behind the bourbon? I am so blessed to have David Mark Young, the CEO of Golden Sheath Whiskey Co., and a community leader and a great guy. That's what we like to have on the show. David, you have done so much, just to get this straight. How many years were you a Marine?
I was in the Marine Corps for 6 years.
6 years, I love that. This is what I want to get the details on the audience. The National, let's see, where is it? National Security Agency. What is it?
So the NSA, the National
Yes.
Security Agency, yeah, it's one of those 3-letter agencies that you know, they do a lot of cloak and dagger. You know, they're pretty much the data, signals, intelligence behind like CIA and other 3-letter agencies. So yeah, it was a good time. That's about all I can say.
That's all you can say, or else I'm going to die. But it sounds cool. I think every woman out there likes that little monster in somebody somewhere. I love that. Oops, let's fix this. Now let's talk about the Blending Bourbon podcast.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Ooh, he's a natural. I feel like he should be natural. Let's talk about that.
Blending Bourbon, the Blending Bourbon
Yes.
podcast. So gosh, what a great opportunity for myself and for Golden Sheath to be able to, you know, it's a great platform. I've done a number of things with that. It's very intentional. You know, it's intended to convey behind the scenes of growing a whiskey company. You know, all of the trials and tribulations and the joys and, you know, the good and the bad and indifferent of what we get to experience. And so my partner in crime on the podcast is Dixon Dedman, who is an icon. He's a great friend of mine. He's an icon in the industry. He created 2XO whiskey. He also created and then sold Kentucky Owl, another iconic brand in the industry. And we bring guests on from the industry, celebrities, you know, some sort of ties to the industry, and it's great for, you know, like I said, demonstrating what we do, sharing that. We always joke around that it's our like therapy session because we get on there and we kind of grovel about some of the challenges, day-to-day grinds that we do.
Where do they find that? Where do they find the podcast at? Is it just
you can
Spotify?
so it's on YouTube,
Okay.
but it's on 16 audio platforms, so pretty much all of them. Yeah,
All
it's
of them.
Apple,
Wow.
Spotify. So blending bourbon.
Blending bourbon. It's one of those things like on Netflix. Once you start, you're like, oh, it's been an hour. I gotta keep going. It's so great. So don't miss out. Like those nights you can't sleep, just hit it. Hit play. Hit play.
It'll
and
help
you're
you
gonna-
get to sleep quicker.
No, you're gonna be like, ooh, what's next? I love that. All right, there's some amazing things you've done. I would love to talk about your awards. 2020 Open Whiskey Competition, right? 4 out of 10 here. And then the 2023 Best Small Batch Whiskey with the Lex Life magazine.
Yeah, that was a surprise. A lot of them have been pleasant surprises, obviously, but that was one of our first international awards that we won to be recognized, internationally. And really, we're such a small footprint. We're a craft brand, but I think we've made some waves in the industry with what we're doing with Gold Chief itself, the brand name. And my contributions as a blender, we've done really well. We've got a lot of great partners, and so the awards continue to roll in too. We've got a number that haven't even really been announced. We won double platinum at the Ascot Awards, and pretty much every expression that we've released has taken home some sort of accolade.
When you won the international award, did you have to go somewhere internationally to receive that? I love to travel, and it sounds like that's a free pass to go pick up my award. Did you have to go anywhere internationally, or how did that happen?
We had the option to. We were invited to come out to the UK.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we were just really busy making whiskey, so
Whiskey.
weren't able to attend the awards.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Whiskey Fest 2024. I was the original board member for that when it started. I did the ribbon cutting. It's such a great event.
It is.
Oh
They do
my gosh.
such a great job.
What, 4 years?
This
Five?
is the fourth
19,
year.
Yeah.
They skipped a year because of COVID.
COVID, yeah.
The second year. So this will be a third year.
Okay.
But yeah, it's grown. It's just a great event. For an Omaha event,
Yes.
they do such a great job. Lori Hellbush pretty much heads up the board, and but that whole team, Zach Tremont, they do such a great job. But they've got somewhere around 300 to 400, I believe, different expressions.
Wow.
And it's a couple hours of being able to get in there and try international whiskeys, of course American whiskeys, local brands, and even meet some of the producers and share with like-minded folks. It's such a great time. It's growing, and people are starting to come in town, recognize it as kind of a national event.
Is it a 1-day or 2-day event? now?
It's a one-day event.
1 day.
Yeah, September 28th this year.
You don't want to miss it. It's such a good day. Get the cigars, get your friends, get the girls and the guys. You're all going to love it. The one thing I want to ask you about is something I heard through the grapevine about developing a data science, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so I have a background
Yeah,
in
you do.
technology. When cybersecurity was what I did for 20 plus years prior to getting into the level of whiskey that I'm into now. Now it's exclusively whiskey, but there's now an overlap. A partner of mine, Terry Reinert, who's a genius, MIT educated. He does a lot of work in different spaces, but does a lot of AI, artificial intelligence work. And so he's also a whiskey fanatic. That's one of the many things we have in common. He's also a former Marine. So he and I have partnered on some initiatives to leverage information or leverage artificial intelligence and data science in the whiskey industry. A lot of different ways. So, one way, for example, is to be able to recommend a particular type of whiskey based on 1 or 2 questions that you might input, and then be able to kind of help you navigate, because whiskey is a huge world. There's a lot of different types of whiskeys. You do the combinatorics. there's an endless amount of options out there, and a lot of people spend a lot of time just kind of navigating. Don't like this, and kind of hop around. But it intended to help you find what you prefer, because everybody's different.
Yes.
Everybody tastes differently. Everybody has a different palate. But that's one aspect. There's a number of things. Partnering with some distilleries to be able to help curate various mash bills, recipes, that sort of thing, or other blends and so forth. So we're just getting into that, and it's pretty exciting.
It is exciting because just the other day, I don't know where I was, and I wanted old fashioned. And the bartender looked at me and like, what kind of bourbon do you want? And I was like, I don't know. I usually have a date, just pick out the best stuff, right? So I'm like, this would help me, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Like, I don't need a date. I can just
there you go.
AI it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Artificial intelligence figure it out for you.
That.
Yeah. Next time, just tell them the good stuff, and they'll know.
Well,
sheep.
I should have. He just busted me. Yes. Yes. That is the best. All right, let's talk about nonprofits. So my entire life has been nonprofits, community and connections, and building others up.
Yeah.
I noticed that you also do a lot with community. Bags, is it Bags?
Bags of Fun.
Oh, Bags of Fun. Cancer, right?
So
Children?
Bags of Fun is severely and terminally ill children that are, their life has been disrupted, and they can no longer, be amongst their friends and function as children typically do. So
and they get a bag, right?
They get a bag.
With an iPad and toys and stuff. And
such a cool organization. They curate these bags per the child and what they find out what brings them joy, and then they build it custom for them. And we were fortunate enough to be a part of their gala, their annual gala recently, and it was pretty cool that one of the items that was auctioned off was a private tasting for 12 people, and it went for $4,000.
Right here. Oh my gosh.
I was shocked.
Think of the kids. You're like,
absolutely.
Envision all the stuff in these bags just going in for that. That's beautiful.
One of the many charity organizations that's near and dear to my heart.
The association, the Heart Association, I see that too.
Yep.
And as a business, it's hard, right? It's hard because everyone's coming to you for freebies, right? I get that. How do you decide which ones to take?
Some of them are friends, family that have contributed to the business, helped out. And so I want to give back. I want to want that to be, a two-way street. Be able to help out people that have helped me. Some of them are, things that are important to me. I lost a child. She was a few months old. She was born with a heart condition, and so Children's Hospital, Ronald McDonald House, that was something that we were able to leverage during our tough time, and so things that I've been fortunate enough to receive from is kind of how we've navigated.
I always say, where's your heart? Is it kids, elderly, pets, dogs? Because there's so many great nonprofits in Omaha, and a lot of them are local, started here. But to give back is so much more, especially like you said, they touched you.
Yeah.
And I love that. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. All right, let's talk about whiskey. What's the difference? Because I thought it was bourbon, but it's Scotch. The difference between bourbon and Scotch, what's the difference?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot of different kinds of whiskeys out there. So what it really boils down to is region. So Scotch can only be made and called Scotch in Scotland.
Oh.
So it is a native spirit to Scotland. Bourbon can only be made in the United States. And there's some other criteria that comes along with it as far as the grain types and various things, but it's the official spirit of the United States. There's actually an act of Congress from 1964 that declared bourbon as the official spirit of the United States.
That's pretty cool. I like that. It kind of reminds me about the bourbon. The history of how it came back. There's something I read about the history of like the bourbon that came back to the United States, or is it, what is it that I might have read on your website? Something cool like that. The history.
Possibly Golden Sheaf. So Golden Sheaf was born in Omaha in 1866.
That's it.
Which is a big deal, right?
Yes.
It was born in Omaha in the district of Nebraska. Nebraska wasn't even a state. So I've started to, my business partner Terry had coined this phrase that this is the bourbon that built Omaha. And you know, the more I say that, the more people are curious.
that.
What do you mean? Didn't realize Omaha had a bourbon. Well, yeah, this was a big deal. Grew to become the 3rd largest distillery in the country, right here in Omaha by 1875. They were one of 8 invited to continue distilling throughout Prohibition for medicinal purposes. They respectfully declined, so they did shut down the facility in 1920. But they had pivoted and focused exclusively on cattle. So they had also started the Omaha Stockyards.
What? See, I knew it was cool. I just didn't have the details. Wow.
Which most people are familiar with, right?
Yes,
the
absolutely.
Omaha Stockyards. And, you know, there's a tie in there. So bourbon is majority corn-based. You know, these folks are making some amazing bourbon. They're, you know, grow this thing, and they're giving away the spent grains. They're producing 13,000 gallons a day. They're giving away the spent grains to cattle farmers, pig farmers. And then eventually they thought, let's just buy some cattle. This is a resource, you know, so we'll buy some cattle, buy some land. You know, this becomes the Omaha Stockyards, and then they're maximizing their resources, and then they decide to shut down. So everybody knows the stockyards, everybody knows cattle and beef, but not a lot of folks are familiar with the bourbon that started it all. And so we're trying to elevate that message and bring that back as a, you know, reunited as a staple in Omaha,
Such
Nebraska.
a great message. We started it, Omaha, right here.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
I knew it was
It's
a big
really
deal. I
big
just
deal.
didn't know the deal. Yay.
It is.
So tell us about Mark. Tell us, who are you? What do you like to do? Well, I always like to do like a fun question. So my question is for you. Who was the first concert you went to and why?
Hey, I can answer that question.
Okay.
My first concert was Bon Jovi back in the 80s. My older brother took me. Rat opened up for him, and it was in Atlanta.
Wow.
And yeah, it was. I've always been a Bon Jovi fan, you know, just because of there's meaning behind music, you know, and so it brings back memories. But yeah, that was my first
That's
concert.
your concert. All right. Where can people find you? Like, what are you up to? When you said you had a whiskey tasting, you know, Women with Voices, we're always looking for fun things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe sometime we can do like a fun event with whiskey tasting. Isn't there something in the works somewhere?
I do
or
them all the
what's-
time. I do them all
Okay.
the time. I do a lot of private events, but I also, you know, we'll just do sampling at different retail locations, and Proof 192 out
What
west.
proof?
But a lot of other events. There's Whiskey Carnival coming up June 1st, I believe, out at Sideshow Spirits in Lincoln, another whiskey company in town. I do, gosh, it's my life. you
Yeah.
know, so we're in multiple states. You know, I'm growing this brand and company to add resources, add staff, add folks that can sort of take things off my plate so I can stay in my lane. But I do travel and promote the brand a lot. So spend a lot of time in Kentucky. I've got partnerships down there. But I'm either, you know, talking about whiskey or paying the bills or, you know, creating strategies or sharing whiskey with folks out.
That sounds like a great job.
It's an amazing job.
The whiskey
I'm very
job.
fortunate.
I love that.
Very
Have you
lucky.
been to the Kentucky Derby? Have you been there?
That's ironic you asked that. I've not, but I'm going this year. It's the 150th anniversary. We're fortunate enough to attend. Yeah, we've got some really great box seats right on the rail.
Wow.
It's going to be an exciting event. Yeah, that whole weekend.
You better be looking for that outfit. I'm
I
sure.
am looking right now.
You need the outfit.
I need help.
And the bow tie.
I need
oh
something,
my
yeah.
gosh. How do you ever even get the box seats? You just get in there early, I'm sure.
You know, I was fortunate enough having connections in Kentucky. Was
connections.
invited by a partner.
Nice.
That's down there. Yeah.
I can't wait to see those pictures.
gonna
I'm going to
be-
be there in spirit, cheering you on. It's such a great event.
It is. Yep. Great opportunity. We're in a sea of celebrities and icons in the industry. It's a great networking opportunity. It's but you know, just a fun thing to attend also, and be able to check that box on my
Gosh, it's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
I'm single, 55, so anyone that wants to take me to the Kentucky Derby, I'm a fun date. I can't wait to see the pictures for that. What do you want to tell the world? What made you go off and do your own thing? I work with so many entrepreneurs, and it's like, What is that one thing that you said, I'm ready, I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to live my passion and my purpose? What was it that made you just take that first step to do it?
Temporary insanity, possibly. It's something I've always wanted to do, and would dip my toe in, do some consulting, or it always intrigued me. Seemingly anything. I realized at some point in life that, like whiskey, I would take a sip of whiskey and think to myself, "This is good. However, I can improve it by adding this or blending this into it." And so I've done that my entire life, not really realizing. And so similar, working for a number of corporations and working for the government and the military. This is a great job. I love it. However, if I had control, I could make it better by doing this. And so when this opportunity presented itself, or I found it and pursued it, that's really what it is to be able to kind of take the reins and lead a team of very talented folks. I'm not, I can't take 100% credit for the company and everything we've done, but to be able to be a part of such a initiative and have kind of a say in its culture and the direction and strategy and partnerships and that sort of thing. So it's I do take pride in that as far as what our culture's like, and that we're fortunate enough that companies enjoy working with us. They want to work with us, and that I think that says a lot about the brand and the company and us as professionals and humans.
I love that. How can people find you? How can they find you? What's up your sleeve? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, what's up your sleeve, Mark? What's going on with you?
A lot of things.
What can you share?
Yeah. So obviously, growing this brand, we're growing, across the country. Yes. We deliver to 45 states. We are in geographically, physically, we're in only 2 different states, and that's by design. But we're now pulling trigger and launching in a series of states. But we'll eventually be international. I have another brand that at some point I'll release. It's in the works now. I do a lot of consulting work, and then of course this AI initiative. I certainly don't want to stretch myself too thin. Got a lot of irons in the fire, but whiskey is my passion, and at the end of the day, I enjoy making and sharing good whiskey, quality whiskey, and that's really where I see myself, continuing down that path, but having other things. Going on in the industry, being able to complement that with other types of offerings and improving the market and that sort of thing. But and I think the more we grow this and complement it with other offerings and services, I want to continue to really get into philanthropy and focusing on charities. There's a lot of things that I kind of build this machine to print money to be able to give away, to do more.
You do more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love community. What about location? Do you have anything? You're everywhere. He's at every tasting there is. There's Mark. What do you find yourself that you might have something like a location that people?
Yeah. So I spend a lot of time in Kentucky, and one of the things that I'm just really passionate about is their aging facilities, and so I'm looking at bringing one of those here, and I'm talking one of these behemoth, 55,000 barrel warehouses. That's it's a statement, but really want to bring whiskey back to Nebraska, put it on the map. One of those criteria to be considered bourbon is that it has to be 51% or more corn.
Okay.
Well, we're in the corn state, right?
Yes,
and
makes
I
sense.
Shared this with the governor, previous governor, a few years back, that we are the Cornhusker state, and we make we produce a lot of corn, and bourbon is America's official spirit, predominantly corn. Ipso facto, why aren't we the bourbon state? And Kentucky makes amazing bourbon. They make the majority of the world's bourbon.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they make about roughly 90%.
Wow.
And I'll never dispute the quality of whiskey and how well they do it. It's really truly the mecca. But we also make some pretty good whiskey here, and so I definitely want to. We've got some initiatives to put that back on the radar, bring boost the economy, bring jobs, export corn to whiskey producers, and really put us on the map and be known for making quality whiskey, bourbon specifically.
That's a great goal. I love that.
Let's
put Omaha on the map for
Let's
bourbon.
do it. Yep.
I'll be your cheerleader. All right. How can the world get a hold of you? Let's say they want to do a wine tasting, or they want to, reach out for a nonprofit, or they just want to buy whiskey. How can they reach you, Mark?
I'm on all the social media platforms. So David Mark Young is sort of my brand. That's intentional. Obviously, in my if you've seen my car, it's got all the ways to it's kind of a bit of a target, but it's all about Golden Sheaf and promoting that brand. But you can find me on LinkedIn, any of the social media platforms. GoldenSheaf.com has all my contact information. A lot of different ways to reach out through Golden Sheaf or through David Mark Young.
David, what made you go with your full name? I love that, David Mark Young. When did you start doing that? And what's that story behind that? It's just smooth, like whiskey, right?
Well, thank you. I decided at some point that I wanted to be a brand in the industry. I have a gift for blending whiskey, which is an art form, similar to a chef. They decide if they want to make chicken, beef, fish, or pork, and then they season it or marinate it with their unique, and they make their unique creation. Yeah. Very similar to what I do. I source unique whiskeys, ages, proof points, mash bills, geographic locations, and create my own unique expression. I decided that I wanted to master this, and I want to be a voice and an authority in the space. And so I knew right away I had to create something catchy that people would remember and think of. And intentionally, when I launch my next brand, in theory, I'll have some credibility in the industry, and they'll know that David Mark Young revived Omaha's the bourbon that built Omaha. And then, when I launch my brand, they'll immediately recognize the quality of the whiskeys that I produce.
I think it's great, and I'll be there whenever you want to launch it. I love to
Awesome.
have gatherings and parties. That's what I do.
I'm excited.
Thank you so much for being my
Thank you.
guest.
Thank you.
I
for
just
it's been
enjoy.
An honor and a pleasure.
I've known Mark, David Mark Young at the chamber back in my chamber days, and we just reconnected.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful human, and he's bringing a mark on Omaha. Right? Let's do it. I love Omaha. It's a great city.
It is.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Now remember, find your niche. Find something that you're passionate about, that you love, that you can make a statement. Because when you have your passion and your purpose, you can make the change, you can make whiskey, you can do whatever you want. Just do it. Thank you and have a great evening.